Blurters are students that just shout out answers. They appear to speak automatically, without permission, and sometimes without a filter on what they are blurting out. These students are compulsive but can appear just to be over-anxious learners. This facade of over-anxiousness can become problematic. Blurters will often shout out even when other students are called on. They will sometimes speak out before the teacher has even finished talking or has even posed a question that needs to be answered. These students make irrelevant comments during discussion. Blurters make connections and will blurt them out even if it gets the entire class off topic. Blurters appear to be oblivious to needs of other students and can even lack a sense of fair play. As mentioned before, they blurt out even when other students are called upon, completely disregarding another student's turn to speak. Blurters may often be slow to complete tasks and can be quick to promise and seem to have good intentions but will seldom follow through. Blurters are not the same as talkers. Talkers have a completely different objective than students who blurt out. Students who blurt out when the teacher is talking are attempting to be off task and chat with their peers, whereas students who blurt out just say whatever comes to their mind whenever it comes to their mind during class discussions. One thing teachers must keep in mind that this behavior is more disturbing to the teacher than it is to the classmates. Once the teacher has accepted this fact, he or she is more likely to handle this behavior in a more professional manner. If the teacher has not accepted this, the teacher is more likely to contribute to the overall disturbance of the class rather than helping create a better learning environment. Possible side effects of this behavior may include the teacher and the classmates becoming irritated by this behavior, causing disharmony in your classroom. Students may become irritated by the blurt and want to take it upon themselves to try to correct, possibly very harshly, the blurter themselves. Teachers can become unnerved. The teacher will feel like they have to focus on redirecting that one student more than the entire class. The teacher may feel like they spend the entire lesson or the entire day just focusing on redirecting this one student. The teacher will feel drained by the end of the lesson or at the end of the day and unnerved because they focused all their behavior on this one particular student that just can't seem to get with it. Your one blurter has just turned into a class of blurters. Recall that the blurter will speak out of turn whenever they feel like it, even when other students have been called on. A bad example is set by the blurter because he or she speaks freely and says whatever comes to their mind without following procedures like raising their hand, when other students begin to question why they even need to raise their hands to speak. A bad example is set by the blurter and it causes a chain reaction of other blurters and eventually an entire class in disarray. As if the teacher wasn't drained enough by the one blurter, the teacher now has to deal with a class full of blurters that have been influenced by the poor choice, but that have been influenced by the blurter's poor decisions in the classroom. The teacher may begin to doubt his or her abilities to handle the situation or even the class as a whole. When the teacher becomes more and more fearful of the students wanting to misbehave similarly, enforcing the rules becomes more difficult. The teacher is continually trying to recapture the attention of the lesson. Time is wasted and the teacher feels stressed because the teacher is continually redirecting the blurter's behavior and even the students being influenced by the blurter. The continuity of the lesson is disrupted. The entire lesson may be prolonged. It could also be that what part of the lesson was delivered was not received by the majority of the class because they were distracted by the misbehaviors. The teacher will eventually become fatigued and worn out and will even lose hope of improving this behavior. However, teachers must take a look at what is causing this behavior to figure out how to handle this behavior. Function of this behavior can include seeking attention in a relationship, problems at home, influence of another student, or trying to establish their status in the classroom. Teachers may be unknowingly encouraging this behavior. Often, the child who will blurt out something completely irrelevant, the teacher will become upset and redirect the student on their behavior. However, when they blurt out something that's academically relevant, they won't correct them. They'll encourage it. This sends mixed signals. It says that sometimes it's okay to blurt out and sometimes it's not, and students have a hard time distinguishing between when it is and is not okay. Some students may be seeking attention from you or other peers. They may be trying to impress somebody in the classroom by being a clown. They may think that acting out and distracting are ways to make friends with other students. If the blur is trying to establish their place in the classroom, give them a class job so that they feel part of the classroom environment all the time. Have them pass out papers, pass out pencils, collect papers, things like that, to have them constantly involved and up and moving around. If this doesn't work, you can try moving them further away from the people that they're trying to impress if they're trying to impress someone. Um, when you move them away, they become less focused on who's around them. If you sit them by themselves, then they're no longer trying to impress someone because there's nobody around them. Another way to get students to visualize how much they're blurting out and why it's a problem is something called a blurt chart. It has little icons on there, and they lose one every time they blurt out. This helps students conceptualize why blurting out is such a problem and how often they actually do it. If they're seeking attention, something you can do is have them come to the board and solve a problem on the board. All the attention of the class is on them in a positive way because they're trying to explain and solve this problem before everyone, so everybody gets all eyes on them. You can also try something called the 2x10. You can hang out with them at breakfast, at lunch, before school, after school. You can even have them stay back from specials and help around in the classroom. Once students have received this much consistent attention, they are less likely to try to seek it as blurting around in your classroom. I got my sources from Scholastic.com. They had a good article about 7 ways to cure the blurts. I also got it from a 4th grade teacher's blog, giving attention-seeking students the right kind of attention. I also used disciplinehelp.com for the blurter. That's where they'd had how descriptions of the behavior, possible functions, and a couple different ways to approach this one. Thank you.